What up, party people? Episode 93, Wake and Rake Podcast. Trade deadline time. Play a little matchmaker. Feeling a little cupidy. Got my pops here. Ready to play a little matchmaker. Willie is still on assignment here. We're going to have Brooksy back here soon. But in the meantime, we're going to play a little matchmaker and play some trade deadline. Have some trade deadline fun. Ohtani, Soto, C's. I'm kind of excited for the deadline.
I'm a little feeling that it's going to be a lot of hype and not a lot of actual trades. That's what I'm a little bit worried.
You don't think Ohtani's going?
I don't think they're going to actually trade Ohtani. I don't think you got to have guts to trade Ohtani. I think it's a smart thing to do, but I don't think it's actually going to happen. To actually, I don't even think that. I think everybody says "Oh, I would do it." I think that's baloney. I feel like if you're in that situation and you have the greatest player who's ever played the game on your team, how do you give him up? I couldn't find I would in my head, I would be thinking, oh, we're 7 games back. We can do this. There's no way I could get rid of it.
They've done this for 6 years.
I know. I'm just telling you. I could never just, that feels like giving up. And I could just never do that.
So it's either you give up now.
I'm not saying it's not the smart thing to do. It is the smart thing to do. The smart thing to do, the logical thing to do is to trade Ohtani, get at least 2 to 3 top prospects from an organization and set yourself up for the future. But I don't think I can honestly do that. I just don't think I could do it. If that's my team and I am emotionally invested in my team, whether I'm the coach, whether I'm the general manager, whether I'm the owner, I could just never give up on Ohtani like that or give up on us with Ohtani. Especially as the owner, I worked my butt off to sign this guy and he's proven to be exactly what we hoped him to be. And then I'm just going to let him go. I don't think I can do it.
Just go down with your ship.
Just go down with my ship. I put my heart and soul into this team and I got to go with it. I'm just telling you, from a personal standpoint, when you're involved with any team, I just don't think. I think I've listened to a lot of people talk about how the logical thing to do, and I've seen it from you, and I've seen it from other experts who study this thing, and they're right. They're absolutely right. I just don't think I could do it. I just don't think I could do it.
The odds are against it. Basically, Artie Moreno came out and said that he's not trading to the Dodgers. Makes sense. If you trade him to the Dodgers, ain't nobody showing up to Angel Stadium the rest of the year. And if Ohtani is flirting with 63 homers to potentially pass Judge for the American League single season home run record, even if they're not in the playoff chase, you're going to get butts in the seats.
Exactly.
So the odds are against them, but who does have the odds is BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Okay, so give me your percentage of if you think Ohtani's going to be dealt. If you were betting, where would your money go? Yes, he will. No, he won't. I'm telling you, no, he won't. I would not bet on him being traded.
I think he stays. Not after the season. I just mean at the deadline.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
Trade deadline passes and Ohtani is wearing an Angel.
Yeah, I think he becomes a free agent and he ends up. I still think he still ends up on the West Coast. Don't know where, but I think he ends up on the West Coast.
Convoluted because it's a question of Ohtani's a true rental,
right?
So you're going to get 2 months. So
but
how many?
You're renting 2 players. You're renting an ace.
You are, yeah.
And a middle of the order super stud.
Yeah, but it's not a Soto situation where you give up your entire farm and you have another 2.5 years. So that's what the Padres did. Padres give up everyone for Soto, but let's say the Padres obviously haven't worked out quite yet this year. There's still a little bit of time to turn it around. But let's say all goes to shit this year for the Padres. They don't trade Soto this year. They still got 1 more year of Soto. So you have a couple opportunities to do so. Ohtani's different. Ohtani, he's gone in 2 months.
Right.
So then now that brings in more teams into the picture.
You also have more insight if you're with Ohtani's team on a daily basis too. Like you don't
you increase your odds.
Even if Ohtani says, even if Ohtani gives a little bit of like, I'm still considering staying, regardless of what happens this year, that plays into it too. If his team says, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I've tried it. I'm gone. I just want to let you guys know. Obviously, I'm not going to make it public, but I want you guys to know. That's a different story.
Yeah. Kind of like Mookie Betts did with Boston.
Exactly.
So they sent him off.
Exactly. Makes sense.
Let's play some matchmaker, all right?
Okay.
It's tough because we don't know who's going to be dealt, obviously. And so this entire list is just assuming they're all getting dealt. Obviously, so I have 20.
Okay. Dang.
20 players that could potentially be involved in rumors and could potentially be dealt. Again, this is all hypothetical, obviously. We did see Shintaro Fujinami, by the way, get dealt.
There's a shocker.
We put
the A's, literally the only known player on the A's this year.
Yeah. My
team, of course. Bye-bye. It took him less than, a little more. We'll give him, he got a half a year. He got a half a year.
We put out a video on the CBS Sports social channels, and basically we walked around Oakland Coliseum, and we did not stop recording until we found a current Oakland A's player jersey. We went around damn near half the stadium. I started out in like center field. We ended it right around third base, like between home plate and third base, basically. So we went around half the stadium, did not find a current Oakland A's.
Also remember, this wasn't your typical game. This wasn't where they had 3,000 fans.
No.
They had 28,000 fans that night. So that's a lot of bodies with not very many, very little current player jerseys on.
The one guy we finally found after half the stadium was Shintaro Fujinami. And a month later, Fujinami gets dealt out. The whole point of that video was to show how ownership has mismanaged and just completely broken the trust of the fans, because why would you buy a jersey?
Yeah.
They're going to get shipped off. And sure enough, Fujinami gets shipped off a month after making that video. We just shared that video 2 weeks ago too. So I'm glad I did it when I did.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have shared that video and Fujinami got freaking dealt out, I'd have been pissed, because a lot of work went into that video. All right. Ohtani. Tampa Bay Rays make a whole lot of sense. Tampa Bay Rays have dealt with injuries to their rotation all year. They lost Rasmussen. They lost Springs.
When's the last time they had a big? They're not gonna spend $700 million on the guy. 600, 700.
This is a true rental.
True rental.
Yep. They were supposedly in on Freddie Freeman when he was in free agency.
They had the prospects.
They have one of the best farm systems in baseball. Again, a rotation that has been handed injury after injury. So you're gaining a pitcher, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, you just add another guy to your lineup, basically.
It's also interesting to see how much influence Ohtani and his team have on this, too. And I know he doesn't have a quote-unquote no trade clause, but how much they're discussing that with him, because I know a big deal, or at least it's assumed a big deal, that he stays on the West Coast. He's closer to home that way. I don't know if he'd want to go all the way to Tampa Bay. There's a lot of speculation about the Yankees. I don't know if he wants to go to the East Coast.
He did not, by the way. That's actually a good point. So Ohtani would not have a meeting with the Yankees when he was coming over from Japan. He refused to have a meeting with the Yankees. So I don't know if he has a vendetta against them or what, but he didn't want to go to New York. Mm-hmm. But obviously, it's out of his hands now. He doesn't have a no trade clause.
It seems like speculation-wise that he just wants to stay on the West Coast.
Right, he's closer to home, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Same thing with Ichiro going to Seattle. It makes sense. It's a quicker flight. So Tampa, in the World Series in 2020, they were in the World Series in, what was it, 2009? Did they lose to in 2009? Philly. Oh wait, 2008. Philly and Tampa.
Phillies won it that year?
Yeah.
Really? How come I don't remember that team? Oh, yes. That was with Jason Worth and that group? Okay.
That would have been your Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins.
That's before.
No, that's 08, dude.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So Philly beat Tampa in 5 games.
Okay.
Cole Hamels was your MVP.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley.
Okay.
Carlos Ruiz, Jason Worth was on that squad. Pat Burrell.
There you go. Okay.
Point being, Tampa Bay has had their chances at like hoisting a trophy, but they've come up short.
Sure.
And there's all this conversation of like, can analytics like win you a World Series? And by the way, like I've been one to say that it hasn't been able to win a World Series because we've seen in recent times, we saw the Giants win 107 games 2 years ago. We've seen Tampa falling short seemingly every single year. We saw Boston have one of the best records in the league back in that was also 2021, I think it was. Like San Francisco. So I've seen these teams like analytics is great for the regular season. You can platoon can platoon your way to 100 wins, 90 wins.
Well, I mean, we talked about the A's and Fujimori earlier. Like we're talking
A's too, yeah.
It's the same thing. You watch Moneyball. What's the big deal? They lose in the playoffs. So,
but come playoff time, that's when your stars take over because you don't have a 5-man rotation anymore. You have a 3-man rotation, maybe 4.
Right.
And you might platoon certain guys in a lineup on a day-to-day, depending. But Ohtani gives them a pitcher, a dominant pitcher, a superstar in the rotation, and it gives them a superstar in their lineup that you can plug in every single day.
It makes a lot of sense. Logically, it makes a lot of sense.
Ohtani to Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think about that. When I'm thinking about Ohtani, I was thinking Seattle. I was thinking the Dodgers. Obviously, you think the Yankees. You're thinking a lot of these big market teams that think that they can sign him long-term.
Yeah.
But on a straight rental, Ohtani to the Rays makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense.
The Rays since June 1st, by the way, have a 500 record.
Really?
So
after their hot start?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're tied for first with the Orioles as of what is today?
Dang.
Wednesday the 19th.
Wow.
So clearly there's something missing.
Clearly,
like what they have right now is
that whole talk about the analytics and it let's be honest, the Dodgers have been great. And they even obviously, won a recent World Series. You could say it's because of COVID and all that stuff, whatever, but they still won it and they still do the analytics, but they also have the money to bring your stars in, your Mookie Betts, your Freddie Freeman. So it's great to have the analytics, but you gotta have the horses too.
I just think like aesthetically seeing Ohtani in a Rays uniform, it doesn't like, you can't picture it.
No,
but that doesn't matter.
That's what it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it's possible.
Right.
If that makes sense. It doesn't feel right when you say that. But if you take away the emotion of it, you take away the thought of anything else, it makes perfect sense.
Logistically,
absolutely.
So I have Juan Soto, which I have next on my list, but I want to make this point that Soto's not going to get dealt. Because if AJ Preller's on the hot seat, why wouldn't he go down with it?
Let's be honest, he should be on a hot seat.
He should, yeah.
He absolutely should.
But
I love what he's done, but
why wouldn't he go down with his ship at this point? Why would if he's getting fired, if he's getting axed at the end of the year, why the hell would he give up now? Because
Preller is not, I mean, again, I'm not like an insider into the San Diego Padres, but it felt like he's done this before. Like I felt like he's reset what he's wanted to do over and over again. It's not like he set out this 6 years ago and grew to this, and now he's going to go down to the ship. He's flipped on a dime before and signed new players and got rid of players. And, he's kind of flipped the roster a couple of times already. So I don't feel like he's going to be that set on the roster.
Think he will Dill Soto because he's not set on the guy?
I think that he will, just say, kind of on a pure business standpoint, this isn't working. We got to make something that works. We got to get something from this season because it's not working right.
But it's not Soto's fault. That's not working.
No,
the guy has a 900 OPS.
My big thing, we talked about this, obviously off the air, but my biggest thing, and my wife and I went down to a Padres game a couple weeks ago, and being an A's guy, I'm a big Bob Melvin fan.
Yeah.
And his big stuff was like mix and match, and you're getting guys to utilize a DH position and really getting kind of the roster to roof. With all these stars, you can't do that. Bob Melvin can't do anything. He's stuck with, you put him in their positions, you put him in that lineup, and you go. There's nothing else you can do. And if they're not performing, they're not performing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of out of Melvin's wheelhouse a little bit on what he's used to doing and what he's comfortable doing. And I think, I know this sounds stupid, but getting a couple more role players and getting rid of a star would probably be a good idea. I know that sounds dumb, but I feel like that makes for, look, they got rid of Nelly. So
Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
But That's not Nelson Cruz that we all know and love, though.
That you have to put in the lineup.
That's 43-year-old Nelson
and
Cruz.
all he can do is DH.
Yeah.
So he wanted to use the DH. I have a feeling that had something to do with it.
I think they do want a little bit more like freedom, flexibility.
Yes.
I get that. That's what they just got rid of Ruben Odor too yesterday. But I don't think Soto's getting traded. I think Preller at this point is going to go down.
If anyone's getting traded, so that's one of their stars, it's going to be him.
If Soto does get traded, now that we got that out of the way,
go.
Soto, if not this year, when he becomes a free agent, he will be in San Francisco.
I think that's a great match. Absolutely.
They've had a different starting left fielder every single season since Barry Bonds retired in 2007. Every single opening day since Bonds retired, the San Francisco Giants have sent out a different starting left fielder. Every single
and that's kind of, especially under
we're going on
Zaidi, that's kind of their thing now too. So their thing now is mix and match, and they don't have a true set lineup every day. So that's kind of what they do. So they obviously tried to bring in Correa, and that didn't work out. So that would have been their only every day, probably throw in the 3-hole slot, even though he's doing well as a leadoff hitter right now. But your everyday player, they don't really have that, and that's kind of the way they roll.
And they need a face of the franchise.
Which
is what they went out and did 2 years ago with Chris Bryant.
Yeah, sort of. Did they end up re-signing him though? Because they only traded. He was a rental.
He went to Colorado.
That's what I'm saying. So he really wasn't the face of the franchise.
But he's a guy that you can put in your 3-4 hole every single day, which is what Soto is.
Right.
And so that's what San Francisco is missing. San Francisco is missing the face of the franchise, a guy that they can jump on the back and he can carry.
And he's their type of player. Take pitches.
On base machine.
He's totally their type of player. Yeah.
So if Soto goes anywhere, I think it's San Francisco.
And he can hit splash bombs and everyone will be excited.
But he's not going anywhere. Dylan Cease is interesting. Dylan Cease, I've never understood front offices trading players when you have 2 more years of control. I understand you're trying to get the most out of them, but it becomes a question of how long is it going to take you to rebuild?
Yeah, it depends on what you get back, and it also depends on what your timeline is too. So
White Sox still have Luis Robert. They still have Eloy Jimenez.
But think about how many.
How long is it going to take you to rebuild?
Think about how many years, me included, would say, "Oh, White Sox are winning that division," and they haven't.
In that division, division's
you look
terrible.
at their lineup and you go, "Holy crap, they're great," and then they never do it. It's almost like it's not the Angels, but it's almost that type of thing where you expect it and it doesn't happen.
But in that division, my whole point is if you trade Dylan Cease, you're giving up another 2 years of control because he's not going to be a free agent until after I think it's 2025 or something like that. So you have another 2 years of Dylan Cease. He's young. He's an AL Cy Young candidate last season. And then you also have young studs like Kopech and Robert and Eloy. You have somewhat of a foundation. And in the American League Central, that's been ass for most
that's what's so surprising. How have they not won it? I know.
Why would you get rid of Dylan Cease? Now, with that being said, Dylan Cease to the Dodgers makes sense.
Sure.
Because the Dodgers have been just crippled by injuries. Their rotation.
Did the Dodgers have enough still in the tank as far as their minor league system?
Yeah, they have the number, I don't know, probably 4 farm system in baseball. Yeah, just off the top of my head. So they're top 10 for sure.
They have enough to deal then. I did that.
Yeah. It's a matter of do they want to trade Bobby Miller? I don't know if you watched Bobby Miller this year, but they brought him. He's their top pitching prospect.
Okay.
Top 10 in baseball. A guy who throws 99 consistently. He's the real deal.
Okay.
Dylan Cease, because he has multiple years of control, he probably. But if the Dodgers are building for an Ohtani sweepstakes, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about their farm system necessarily because if they're not going to trade for Ohtani, which I don't think they will, they're not going to be able. Artie Moreno came out and said he's not trading him to the Dodgers. So if they're not going to be giving up the entire farm for Ohtani, if the Dodgers are just planning on signing him in the offseason, they're building towards 2024. So you don't want a true rental.
The Dodgers can't build toward anything other than World Series championship now. Yeah, really?
Why didn't they do anything this last offseason then?
They thought they already had the horses. Maybe they were holding off a little bit with Ohtani.
They lost their starting center fielder, third baseman, shortstop.
And they're still leading the division, or I don't know about today. It seems to go back and forth between them and the Diamondbacks, but they're still there. So it's.
I'm not saying they're not trying to win a World Series. I'm just saying,
do you think that they actually think toward
Yes.
That, especially when you have Kershaw, who could fall off the truck at any time, like he's going on the DL for no other reason than he's not sore, but he's got some issue. Like we just know that he's one of the greatest ever, first ballot Hall of Famer.
But we're kind of like,
can't worry about that. The Dodgers can't worry about that stuff, can they?
We're kind of like arguing over like we're looking past the bigger picture here right now. Though, is that if you trade for Dylan Cease now, you get him this year,
right,
and years prior.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say like the Dodgers aren't trying to win a World Series this year.
Okay.
I'm saying the luxury of having Dylan Cease is you get him this year and years after this.
Agreed. It just depends on what they want to do with their farm system.
Right.
I guess, yeah.
So if you're losing, probably, Kershaw's not going to be Cy Young Kershaw's entire life.
No.
It's just age. It's just natural. Yeah. Dustin May has dealt with injuries his entire career. Is he reliable? Stuff's great, but is he reliable? Walker Buehler's coming off Tommy John.
Yeah.
We'll see where he ends up. Tony Gonsolin, injury prone. So like this rotation's been riddled with injuries.
They need solid.
And they have some young studs, like I mentioned with Bobby Miller, but Dylan Cease is healthy.
Yeah.
Young. You have control. Makes sense for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers had the farm system to be able to trade for him.
I mean, just to go back on the White Sox right there, I think the White Sox, if it depends on their mindset, like they should be a go for it now type of club every year. Yeah. It feels like that. But like you said, they do have guys that they could hold on to and find a window in the future if they want to go that route. And I don't know what they want to do.
Number 4, I got Blake Snell to the Orioles.
Look at you trading those pods.
This is all assuming.
Okay, are we picking up on the pods first off?
No, I'm saying that if
are the Padres making the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
Yes.
Really? Okay, so obviously you're assuming they're not trading these guys. They're not trading Soto. They're not trading Snell, and they're making the playoffs. They're going to battle back. They're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Really? Even with the Diamondbacks?
That's what my gut says.
Interesting. I mean, logically, that makes sense.
The numbers,
talent-wise.
If I'm relying on the numbers tell me that they're going to turn it around at some point.
Okay.
Numbers have failed us before, but
yeah. Okay. But if they don't, or if they decide to trade off their assets, so to speak, Snell to where?
Baltimore. They tried getting they need some lefty in their rotation. They need some left hand action in their starting rotation. They tried getting it with Cole Irvin, trading him in the offseason. Irvin's a solid pitcher, but he's not Blake Snell. He doesn't have that dominant stuff.
I think Snell's been fantastic.
Oh, he's been great. He's been the best pitcher in National League for the past 2 months. Got snubbed in the All-Star for the All-Star ballot for sure. It's been great. When Snell's great, he's fucking great. Like he's legitimately one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now
you trust it.
But when Snell is off, he can derail a rotation because then you're going into your bullpen in the third inning because Snell has 90 pitches through 3 1/3. So
he might be your perfect rental that you don't sign to a long-term deal because of that.
Right.
You know he's hot right now. He's got it going. He's
Snell
got
in the 2020 World Series.
Exactly.
God.
Exactly.
So if you're getting good Snell, hell yeah. If you're getting bad Snell, it can hurt you. Yeah. But the Orioles kind of have the luxury. They have some depth to them. So if they just kick him to the bullpen, don't use him, so what?
Well, it sounds like with the Orioles, trading for Fujimoto, it looks like they're at least going for it a little bit. What did I say?
Fujimoto.
Yes.
Tyler Fujimoto. Shout out to my closer and
well, you're wearing your Jessup shirt. So that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Shout out Fuj. Best closer in the NAA. Shout out William Jessup, Division 2 now.
Not yet. They gotta wait a year.
2024. Division 2 NCAA.
There you go.
So now I can say I was a D2 baseball player.
No, you can't. That's okay. All that proves to me, and it should prove, and this is a baseball, like that divisions, what we think is a big talent difference is not that big of a talent difference.
It depends.
It depends on where you're
at. Exactly. Stuff like that.
You get, people are very familiar with like college football now they don't say Division 1 football, they say Power 5. Well, that's a whole different world. And that's what I'm saying, though. There's levels of Division 1. There's levels of Division 2. But anyway.
I mean, we played East Bay, who's Division 2. We played them twice and smacked that ass twice. So, I'm just saying, it depends on you.
You guys also were one of the best NAIA teams in the nation that year, too. So you smacked a lot of ass.
All right, enough of pat myself on the back here. Marcus Stroman.
Smacking asses.
Stro show to the Astros.
I feel bad for him.
Stro show to the Stros.
He
That flows. Stro show to the flow. That flows.
Okay, flow. No.
Wait. Stro show to the Stros. That flows.
And I was trying to think of a dad joke and I couldn't go with it. Dang it. So I love Stroman. I think he's great. I think he would be, and he's not like your typical top of the rotation super stud, but oh my gosh, I'd love to have him on my team. He's solid. I know what I'm going to get from him he competes his ass off every game. And I just love his attitude. I love he's kind of got the little small man complex going, but he just battles. I would love to have him on my team, especially I feel bad for him that he's not in that position, or it doesn't seem like he's ever in that position. Not that he's Shohei Ohtani, but you want to see him in the playoffs to really battle, with the spotlight on him. And I think he'd shine.
He did back in 2016 with the Blue Jays too.
Yeah. That's right.
And the Astros like to trade for starting pitching midseason.
True.
Zach Greinke,
True.
Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander.
True.
They like to trade for starters midseason. They like to bolster that rotation. Marcus Stroman makes a lot of sense.
Does, absolutely.
Lucas Giolito.
Hold on. Are the Astros going to the playoffs?
Oh yeah, of course they're going to the
Think
playoffs.
so?
Yeah, they're going to get Jordan back, and
okay.
They'll be fine.
Rangers are going to win that division, though, right?
I would be so sure. I think the Rangers make it too, though. They'll be aggressive at the deadline.
Okay.
Texas will be active.
Okay.
Lucas Giolito to Cincinnati.
So that means Cincinnati's going for it then. They absolutely should.
They're in a similar boat that Baltimore was in last year, in that they've already exceeded expectations. Whatever happens now is icing on the cake. They put
themselves in a position now. The fans are starting to show up. They're believing in this team. They're following it. They need to show their fan base and show their team they're going to go for it.
We said that last year with Baltimore,
and they should have went for it. But at least they're not. At least Baltimore is again continuing to improve. They're in it again this year. They're showing signs that they're going for it. I feel like Cincinnati, it's catching lightning in a bottle, sort of. But when you have an opportunity, and it's a different ball game and different markets, but those fans are showing up.
Yeah,
they need to reward their fan base and reward their team that's busting their ass right now.
I agree with you. I just don't think they will.
Really?
Not with that ownership. That ownership has been much alike the Oaklands of the world.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
And so anything that happens now is just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But if Cincinnati does trade for somebody, it's going to be a starting pitcher, because that's what they need. The lineup's legit. Ellie, Votto, Steer, those guys, they're fine. India, lineup's good.
Yeah.
Rotation wise has been bad, especially without Hunter Green. Yeah. So Lucas Giolito makes sense. You probably don't have to give up the entire farm, Cincinnati, for Giolito. Giolito's a really good arm.
Right.
Is he a Cy Young type guy? Probably not. So you don't have to give up a ton.
Right.
Makes sense.
No, total sense.
Josh Hader again, if the Padres decide to sell. The Padres have like 50 guys they could sell off. So,
and they may want to.
Josh Hader, AJ Preller will never deal with the Dodgers, but the perfect fit for Josh Hader would be the Dodgers.
I'll be honest. I like Josh Hader, but I don't trust Josh Hader.
He's a sub-1 ERA.
I know, but he's one of those guys. He's always got guys on base. He scares the crap out of him.
He doesn't allow any runs.
I don't know.
Remember Brian Wilson with the Giants?
To me, he doesn't feel like the game's over. Like when he comes in, it's like, oh boy, here we go. There's been lots of closers like that they seem to, they create the drama, but for me as a fan, or if that's on your team, you're not going like, sweet, Josh is coming in, this game's over. At least I don't feel that way.
The numbers certainly say that way.
Yeah, you're probably right. It just doesn't feel that way when he comes in a game.
If the Dodgers, obviously, again, Preller's not going to trade with LA. He's not going to trade with Freeman.
No.
Not within the division.
No.
So Tampa would make
definitely
sense.
Not LA. Even if he traded in the division, it's not going to be LA.
No. So Tampa would also make sense for Hader. So I have Dodgers, Rays for Josh Hader. Yeah. Just Rays add to their bullpen.
Yeah.
The Rays don't need him. They still got Fairbanks and guys like that in the bullpen, but you're just adding. Shane Bieber, another guy that probably won't get shipped off because he's got another year of control and he just got put on the injured list. And Cleveland is still fighting for a division too. So they're going to want Bieber back.
Bieber should be one of those players, though, that, he comes back healthy, he gets rolling, and he gets in the playoffs. And watch out, because he's obviously an
big
ace.
Time game pitcher.
He's huge. He's not just
pitcher,
a guy you throw in your rotation. He could be your number one going into the playoffs. Like, he's that good.
And the Rangers would love to have him.
Oh, yeah.
Texas Rangers would love to have him because you thought you were going to have DeGrom.
Yeah.
DeGrom didn't work out because he got Tommy John. All right, let's bring in another ace. And Texas is not going to shy away from just spending and giving off more prospects because that's what they've shown the last couple of years. They are wanting to compete
for it
right now. And they're in the best position they've been to win a World Series or at least compete for a World Series this year for the first time since, your Nelson Cruz 2012 St. Louis Cardinals debacle,
You're always talking on the show about if you spend, they will come, basically. Yeah. And that's the same thing. You always talk about.
Might not win, but they'll
exactly.
They'll come.
The Padres have proven that. And I place Paxa House, and it's turning into a wonderful baseball town, right? A wonderful baseball community. You could say the same thing about Texas. They built a stadium. Yeah. Now they started buying players, and here we go. Here we go. And they're showing up. Boch is doing what Boch does.
Chris Young in that front office.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting it done.
Shout out tall guys. How about Belly?
You're just dissing on those short guys.
Cody Bellinger makes a lot of sense for Miami and the Yankees. Miami slipped a little bit. Miami's lost, I think, 5 of 6 coming out of the break.
Miami and who was the other team?
The Yankees.
No, he doesn't fit with the Yankees. That's all they have.
And that's all that Cashman wants.
Well, then
look at who
how's that working out for Cashman?
And he doesn't seem to steer off that direction.
Yeah, the best season they've had is when DJ LeMahieu was actually like a contact hitter, driving and runs, getting on base on a consistent basis, and then the people around him are driving him in or being driven in. Yep. Since his average went down, so is the Yankees, and so that's the type of players they need, in my opinion.
Agreed.
You already have your Judges and your. You already have your boppers,
Carlos, Rizzo,
exactly. So I don't see that as a good fit. I'm not saying
exactly why Brian Cashman will do it, which is exactly why Brian Cashman will do it. He'll think, we got that short porch in right field. Cody Bellinger's going to launch 50 plus homers with that short porch in right field.
He probably will, but he'll still bat 143, and
they'll be the same team that they have been for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I don't see that as a fit.
How about Miami?
Yeah, definitely Miami.
Because Miami is mostly contact guys, with the exception of Soler. But they have, your Arises, your Brian De La Cruzes
on base every time, and let
Belly drive them in
once every 5 at bats. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And you wouldn't have to give up a Yuri Perez to get Bellinger for half a season.
I mean, think about Belly. Obviously, he had his success as the MVP when he was with the Dodgers, and that dwindled down. But think about what that lineup was when he was doing that too. These are a lot of guys that were getting on base on a regular basis too. So he had a good basis around him, where I don't think he'd have that in New York. But
if Bellinger's smart, he's somehow work out an extension with Chicago, though.
I agree. To be honest,
it's working.
I feel you mentioned a lot of Cubs too. Obviously, you mentioned Padres that sell off, and the Cubs kind of make sense. But I feel like they shouldn't give up on what they have done.
Close.
Yes, Stroh, keep them there,
Dansby.
Yes, you don't need to get. I don't feel like they need to, just because they're not competing now doesn't mean that. I mean, obviously, you need to be able to sign these guys more long term, but I would think in that terms. I feel like they're building something with David Ross, but could be wrong.
Well, we can stay in the Central Division and talk about a MVP from last year. How about a Paul Goldschmidt?
Ooh.
And I talked about a player or a team that needs a star in the middle of that lineup. I mentioned San Francisco.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt has success hitting in San Francisco, by the way, a normally pitcher-friendly ballpark. Paul Goldschmidt raked off Tim Lincecum. He has a career 400 batting average off Lincecum. I think he has 4 homers. He raked in Oracle Park.
When he was a Diamondback, yeah.
That ballpark didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit about the ballpark, is what I should say.
Right. That's because he's a true gap-to-gap hitter, and that place is, Triples Alley, and it's a huge outfield. So
I don't think people are talking enough about how Goldschmidt is a prime candidate to get traded. He's a free agent after next year.
I have not. I'm not did not think of Goldschmidt until you just said that.
Because nobody's been talking about Goldschmidt.
Yeah, but what do you do for St. Louis? So St. Louis, they feel like they're not the type that's just going to sell everybody off, even though they should.
Is St. Louis a World Series team next year?
I've heard Nolan Arenado a little bit. Possibility.
He has a full no trade clause, and he has 4 more years on his contract.
Yeah.
Arenado's not going anywhere.
Okay, unless he wants to.
But unless he wants to.
How many? Is Goldschmidt a free agent after this year?
After next year.
Oh, so they would have 1 more year of control.
He's going to cost you $24 million next year.
Interesting. Trying to think of where he would best fit. Yeah, he would. I would say San Francisco would do either Soto or a Goldschmidt, but they would not do both.
Maybe.
Just because, again, that's 2 staples, and I don't think they work the staples thing.
And then you can also kick Lamont Wade either to the outfield or at the DH spot.
Lamont Wade's been really good.
Yeah, he has, but you're not kicking Lamont Wade. You're not taking away at bats. You just kick him to the outfield or the DH spot.
True. Interesting. That's an interesting. I'm trying to think where else Goldschmidt would fit. Well, because it's not like he's going to play anywhere else other than first base or DH.
I just don't know why more people aren't talking about the potential of him getting.
You're right.
St. Louis is not close to being a World Series team. Not with that rotation.
What do you do?
You're not going to change that rotation in 3 months. This is going to take some time.
Yeah.
They're going to need a Matthew Liberatore to turn into a real dude. And that's going to take some time. And they don't have any of these big time top prospects in their farm system that's going to come up and become an ace. St. Louis is a ways away.
Yeah.
Trade Goldie now. And he's not getting any younger at 34 years old.
True.
Tim Anderson makes sense for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's been a dominant theme, the Dodgers. But right now they've been trying out Miggy Rojas. They tried Mickey Vargas at shortstop. Vargas struggled.
They put Mookie over there short.
Yeah, their best shortstop's probably been Mookie. But Tim Anderson struggled this year. You're probably going to get him at a very low cost. Yeah. Try out Tim Anderson. Put him in that line. The Dodgers
is there any more control past this year, or is he a true rental?
Agent. He has just a team option.
Oh,
after this year.
Okay.
Team options are always good.
Well, that's
so
yeah. So if you want him back, yeah.
Dodgers have this knack for getting players who have struggled and turning them into stars. Your Muncie's, your Chris Taylors. Maybe you find lightning in a bottle with Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
Jordan Montgomery to the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies haven't had a 5th starter. They had this idea that Andrew Painter, who is their number 1 prospect, they were hoping he would come up and fill that void. It just got announced on Wednesday that the Phillies are recommending Tommy John UCL surgery. So they still don't have a 5th starter in Philly, and Philly has had one of the best records in the National League since the calendar turned to May. So they're a really good squad ever since Bryce Harper got healthy, basically.
Honestly, they could use anybody could use another solid starter,
and Montgomery has postseason experience,
absolutely.
And
I feel like you could fit a few more candidates in that Jordan Montgomery to Philly type of thing. Where
there's a number of teams
that could,
I agree,
sell off. So
he's like that guy. He fits on 30 squads.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants a Jordan Montgomery.
Exactly. Everyone needs a Jordan Montgomery type.
So this is kind of this is my 12th player out of 20. Jordan Montgomery and Eduardo Rodriguez. It's 12A and 12B because they're kind of the same pitcher. They're both starting left-handed pitchers, similar stuff. Neither of them have 98 in their back pocket necessarily, but both of them are guys that can eat up innings.
Right.
So Eduardo Rodriguez having a really strong year for Detroit, and he also makes sense for the Phillies.
Exactly.
So I have here the Phillies either get Jordan Montgomery or Eduardo Rodriguez.
Makes sense. And the Phillies are the type of group that they're going to go off. They're going to go get somebody. They're not going to sit on their hands. They're not going to say, "Oh, I'm not sure about this process." No, they're going to go get somebody. They're going to go for it.
Look out for the Phillies and the Soto conversations. Just saying.
That could be a fit, especially with Bryce Harper going to first base. That could be a fit.
Philly making noise.
Do you think Bryce Harper remains at first base? Or do you think that is just this year?
No, I think Bryce is going to do whatever it is to help the team.
Well, I know that.
Bryce, dude, I have so much more respect for Bryce now as a player than when I originally did when he first came up.
Yeah.
I think perfect example would be
he's just matured.
So there's this group of people that basically when Bryce came up, myself included a little bit, we had this criticism of him that he was young, immature, a bit spoiled, and entitled. But what people often do is they make up their opinions about certain players, and then they're never changed. They're not willing to change those opinions.
Right.
And so Bryce Harper is like matured as
absolutely.
He's like a leader on the squad. You know, he's someone that like the young kids on the Phillies go to when they're having issues, or they pick his brain. Like, this guy is matured. Like, he's a father now. He's got kids.
Exactly.
Bryce is like a different human than he was when he first came up. I have a whole lot more respect for him as a player.
I absolutely do as well. I and I'm with you. That I think that's just human nature to a degree. As you put a label on somebody, and then you don't want to be like, and all you do is try to prove you're right. Oh, see, and you try to make points instead of just say, "Hey, guy was spoiled brat for a while, but look at him now."
It's okay to change your opinion.
Yes,
it's like things change, people change.
You have to. Like,
you don't have to be Skip Bayless.
You're not. You're not a knowledge. To be honest, doing the job that you do, doing the job that, if you don't look at how things change and change your opinions based on that, you're not a true expert, if you ask me.
I agree. Lance Lynn, Atlanta Braves.
He's still going.
He's getting lit up. Is he
really?
Yeah, he's not having a good year.
Well, I feel like this is like his 25th year in the majors.
Lance?
Yeah,
he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a while. He's
St.
been doing
Louis,
it for a long time.
Yes.
He's been very successful. He's been very solid.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like, like Father Time won already. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think Texas could look to Lance too, if they miss out on some of the bigger stars, your Shane Biebers and Giolitos.
Do you think Lance Lynn is somebody that is being pursued by other teams?
I think he's more so a guy like you acquire him for a very low cost, and maybe you make him a bridge guy. So like I said, Lincecum earlier. Remember when Lincecum became a bridge bullpen guy in 2012?
Okay.
And he was incredibly valuable for the Giants out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, Atlanta, they got so much depth.
Oh my God.
They just sit him on the bench, say, "Sorry, Lance, you're not playing." Like Atlanta's just like
ridiculous.
Atlanta's just like we have no holes, so let's just continue to acquire and like see what happens. Throw things at the wall. See what sticks.
True. I'll take an extra tool. Give me a little tool here.
Randall Grichuk, Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee always finds those like,
I can't figure out figure out Milwaukee, where they're at, what they're pushing for, what their progression is, where they think they're at. One day you think that like, here they go, they're gonna go for it, and then another day you're like, oh well, we're gonna just let Yelich's contract go out, and then we're gonna bring in the new guys. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. So I don't know if I could. I guess it's just that division.
They were in first place last year when they traded Hader too.
True. And what happened?
Yeah.
That was shocking last year.
Stupid.
I did not understand.
Outrageous.
Because you thought, here they are, they're there.
Just get into the dance.
Exactly.
Look at what the Nationals did in 2019.
Yeah. Look at what the Phillies did last year.
Yeah, exactly.
The Phillies were the crap for the first third of the season.
Get in, dude. It's not the best team in baseball. Does not always win the World Series.
Let's be honest. The Atlanta Braves are the best team in baseball.
Correct.
Bar none, at least. I don't know who could argue that, but that doesn't mean they're going to win the World Series.
Yeah, exactly. Jeimer Candelario.
Okay.
It's having a good, strong campaign. You have, by the look of your face, you have
no
idea.
I do not. I do not. You shocked me on that because I was like, to be honest, I'm thinking of like Candelaria from back in the old days with the White Sox back in or the Minnesota Twins back in the 80s or something. But
it's having a good year for the Nats.
Okay.
About 260 with 13.
There you go. That's the Nats.
Exactly.
I don't follow the Nats at all. I don't know anybody on the Nats.
He's a guy that like you can kind of make as your fifth infielder or utility infielder.
Is he a young guy? Is he older?
He's older,
guy?
so he signed a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Nationals. He was originally with the Tigers.
Okay.
Never really panned out as a guy, but this year he's having a really strong campaign. So I think the Yankees, who just lost Donaldson to injury, Cashman kind of doesn't want to make a splash because he gets cold feet like he has before with the Machados and Trey Turners and Bryce Harpers of the world. So then he decides to just kind of add to their infield depth, and Candelario kind of makes sense.
Sure.
Just adds to infield depth, not a splashy move whatsoever. And Yankee fans are irate because that's the biggest move that they make.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Scott Barlow, the closer for the Kansas City Royals, Arizona Diamondbacks have fallen to third place in the National League West. They are in dire need of bullpen help, a guy in the back of that bullpen. Scott Barlow would make a lot of sense for Arizona.
I just don't, I don't know if I see Arizona adding. I feel like Arizona kind of knows who they are. They have their guys. They don't want to get rid of anybody. They have some prospects coming up, and I feel like they're kind of on that trajectory. If it works out this year, cool. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. They know they're going to get better and better.
It's not going to cost you anything for a guy that's going to be a free agent, a bullpen arm that's going to be
yeah, probably right. Yeah.
CJ Cron to the Houston Astros.
Really?
Reminds me of Trey Mancini last year.
Yeah. I think CJ Cron's a really good player.
Even away from Coors?
I just, yeah. I mean, you would know the numbers. I wouldn't. I'm not the analytic. The splits don't look good. He's just one of those guys that when he's in there, I feel like something's happening. I don't know why. He seems to just a good, solid ball player.
You want to know TJ Cron splits?
Yeah, let's hear it. So you can make me sound like an idiot.
I'll go career splits.
Oh, we're gonna go career splits. So Coors in the home and away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not great. Not great. We'll go to splits here in 2023.
Just go straight home and away.
Home and away 2023.
Okay. Yep.
798 at home, OPS 706 away.
That's not that.
It's below average.
Yeah, but
730 is average.
It's not that huge of a split, though. It is, but it's not that huge of a split. I think he's a good solid ball player. He'd be somebody I'd want on my team.
Last season, CJ Cron 955 OPS at home.
That's awesome.
619 OPS away.
Ooh, that one hurts. That one hurts. But okay.
Elias Diaz, speaking of Coors Field and the Colorado Rockies, your All-Star Game MVP also makes sense for Houston. They have Martin Maldonado, who they love behind the dish, but they went out and acquired Christian Vasquez as more of a offensive threat at the catcher position. Elias Diaz would be that.
Yeah, I feel like Houston, they've always got that veteran, behind the dish guy that they can rely upon.
They'll still use Martin,
exactly.
But like when they want a little bit more offensive bop, like they did last year with Vasquez, you have Diaz. Last guy I have on my list, another guy that I don't think is going to get moved anywhere, but the Mets do decide they want to.
Oh, here we go.
Flip the script.
Here we go.
And really just kind of sell everything and start over. The Texas Rangers acquire Max Scherzer.
What the hell they took to Grom? You might as well take
That's
Max.
Kind of thinking, right? They're not afraid to spend money. They'll pay Scherzer's $45 million this year and the next. Scherzer said that he would waive his no trade clause, reportedly, if the deal made sense.
I could see him want to be honest. I could see him want to get the heck out of New York.
Years, man. Yeah. If he wants to win another title, he doesn't want to wait around.
Yeah.
So if he wants to waive his no trade clause, the Texas Rangers absolutely are going to be in the thick of it at the end of the year. So.
Again, what do you do if you're the Mets? Are you going to sell off? What would you do? You seem confident with the Padres
because when I
figuring it out and making it. Do you have that same confidence with the Mets?
When I watch the Padres, I see a good ball club.
Okay.
When I watch the Mets, I don't get that same feeling.
Okay.
I see a team that is lacking. I see the Padres and I see a good team that is doing a terrible job in clutch situations, runners in scoring position, late innings. I watch the Mets. I don't see a lot of opportunities for wins.
Yeah.
When I watch the Padres, I see opportunities for wins. Yeah. That's the difference. And the numbers support that, by the way. When you look at wins above replacement and rotation and bullpen.
So from the Mets standpoint, I guess you got to sell off then. Because you got these guys on 1 and 2 year contracts. It's not like you got these guys on multiple year contracts anyway. So I guess you got to.
What do you think? Did I do all right?
I think you did all right. I think you did. I think you were looking for great matches.
Right. Matchmaking. Cupid.
Total Cupid. So you can put the heart up here and it's beautiful match. Unfortunately, and this is where the drama comes and the fun comes, let's be honest, is all the other stuff that goes into it. If people were just GMs were just like, where's the match? Here you go. There's so many logical trades that you can make similar to that makes sense for both teams. That just very rarely happens.
They're not as good as mine, though.
Probably true.
RAKE Podcast. Thank you guys for joining. We'll get Brooksy on a podcast here soon. Appreciate you, Pops, for joining.
Not a problem.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Peace out, party people.